Both of my parents grew up at that time, former Yugoslavia, ex-Yugoslavia, whatever. They moved here both in the 70s, and they met each other in America. So I was born in 1987, and growing up in Metro Detroit, when I was born, my family lived in Southwest Detroit, which is a part of Detroit. It's the southwest section of Detroit, and a lot of immigrants live there, whether it be Yugoslavian, Serbian, whatever, Hungarian, Mexican. That region, that part of Detroit nowadays, it always is known for the Hispanic community. That's the part of Detroit that most like Mexican people live, Puerto Rican people live. But back in the day, along with Mexican, Puerto Rican, there was a lot of, at that time, Yugoslavian, Hungarian, Polish, whatever you can find. And I have family in Hamtramck, which is another part of Detroit. It's like a city within Detroit that a lot of Polish people, Yugoslavian people, any like Eastern European, Romanian, Albanian, whatever it didn't matter. They all lived in this very small part of Detroit. And most of our people, Balkan diaspora that came in the 70s and 80s, they're all in the auto industry. That's the Detroit Motor City. Yeah. So most of my uncles or family, my relatives and elders in Detroit, they worked at Ford Motor Company, Chrysler, GM. They worked in the factories, or they owned a business of their own. They might own a junkyard. A lot of them worked at the factory, saved up money, and opened up a bakery. True, Yugoslavian, ex-Yugo style, whatever. And so that's what it was like in Detroit. Now, as far as me myself, at a young age, we moved to a city that borders Detroit. We lived right at the border of Detroit and Dearborn Heights. And in the 80s, there was a lot of, again, I'm using the word Yugoslavian, even though I know that's like a retro term. But at that time, it was all Yugoslavian. So it didn't matter if you were from Croatia, Macedonia. And a lot of people lived in Dearborn Heights at that time. And a lot of our family was still in Southwest Detroit. So that's what it was like. And then in the 90s, things got weird. You know what I'm saying? Because my mom even told me stories like in these factories at Ford, Chrysler, and GM, nobody thought twice. Nobody cared if you were Croatian, Serbian, Bosnian. They all stuck together. But then even in America, when the wars started breaking out, that changed. You know what I'm saying? Like the people that would sit at the lunch table normally started sitting at different tables. You know what I mean? And things got really weird and touchy. But for me, that I was a kid then. That was all beyond me, but I was able to sense something was happening where my family was from. I was able to comprehend that because every day my parents are watching the news. They're at that time, not everybody had satellite to watch like the news from here. So you were just watching American news, but there was like Yugoslavian bars, Balkan bars in America that carried like satellites. This is before like it's easy to get TV from the other side. Now you can just order it and bullshit subscription. Everything is digital. But at that time, analog days, like a lot of these older men would go to like the Balkan bar to watch news from this side of the world and TV shows from this side of the world and go to like the little cafes and stuff. And I just remember that was a weird time. That was like, I didn't know what was going on, but I just knew that wherever my parents were from, there's a lot of chaos going on there because they're watching the TV and they're like crying and they don't know what the fuck's going on. And me, I was just, I don't fucking know. I like professional wrestling. I like hip hop music, and I didn't know what the fuck was going on. But I as I got older, I started realizing like, you start picking up on things and you start hearing shit and, politics, bullshit.
Yeah. So you said in some interview that you started really young to listen to music. I think you said you listened to Michael Jackson first.
Yeah, that was my Michael Jackson was my king.
Like, tell us about it. Your beginnings in music.
It's funny, those two stories relate. My mom, when we came to this part of the world in 1989, my mom bought the Michael Jackson Thriller album on tape for my older brother. And I still have it somewhere. And it says made in Yugoslavia. Like the tape was made in Yugoslavia, Michael Jackson Thriller. And I wore that tape out. I listened to it as a kid, day in, day out. Michael Jackson, Paul McCartney, the Girl Is Mine, Beat It, Thriller, all those songs, you know what I'm saying, on that album. Legendary album. So yeah, Michael Jackson was the shit to me. And obviously I grew up in the house. My mom's listening to music, you know, Balkan music and stuff like that, and our music, folk music, whatever. I grew up on that, you know what I mean? That was.
Do you know Ceca, Jay?
Oh, Ceca, Belgrade, Jay, hey, Mali, kako ti se sviđam. Come on, man. I know all of that, bro. I grew up on that. That's what I want people to understand. I want people to understand that, like, yeah, even though I'm born and raised in America, please know I grew up in a Balkan Serbian household. You know what I'm saying? And those foods and those songs and that language is what I was surrounded by. You know what I mean? And but it's the exterior though. It's what was outside of that. The external is what I meant to say. You know, I fell in love with a lot of American culture. I fell in love with professional wrestling. You know what I'm saying? Shawn Michaels and shit like that. That's American culture. That's Americana. Yeah. I fell in love with American football. Go Detroit Lions. We have one of the best teams in the league right now. We're going crazy. So that's why I made the song on the new album, There He Is, produced by my guy Stonecutter, because I say it in there like, you know, Balkanats, Amerikanats. Like I'm the hybrid. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's why the very next song in the album is one of a kind, because I'm like, there's nobody in rap like me. What up?
Cool. And if you're talking about hip hop, tell us more about Detroit scene back then when you were growing up. I mean, Detroit is famous for J Dilla, D12, etc.
It goes crazy. It's a history book you can write on it. Well, I'll say this: I never met Dilla, I never met Proof. By the time I had the balls and the guts to get on the Detroit hip hop scene and say, you know what, I'm gonna do this for real. Like, I'm going to go to the open mics and whatever. Unfortunately, they had already passed. But the craziest story is...
About their mothers, yeah?
They're both of their mothers. And people in the Detroit hip-hop scene, I think most people would agree that Proof and Dilla are like the two bases, and they were super tight with each other, and they even had a group, Dilla and Proof. It was called Funky Cowboys, and a lot of my favorite Proof records, like super underground Proof songs, are produced by Dilla, and anybody that came out of like the Detroit hip hop world, typically, not always, but almost, came up from one of those two umbrellas. Either you came out of the Proof umbrella or you came out of the Dilla umbrella. When we say Dilla, we think of Slum Village. Yeah. We think of Fat Cat, Guilty Simpson, the Elzeyes, Danny Brown even, Black Milk, those cats. When we think of the Proof tree, we think of Eminem, D12, Royce the 5'9", that, you know what I'm saying? But really, this is one giant family tree.
Obi Trice.
Yeah. Obi Trice, you know what I'm saying? And I never got to meet either one of them because they passed away by the time I got in the scene, unfortunately. But their moms vouched for me heavy. You know what I'm saying? I was just a kid going to the open mics, and Proof's mom saw me one night, and she saw 20 million rappers hit this open mic at the Bullfrog, which was a place on Telegraph and 5 Mile Road. And she she saw 20 million rappers hit the stage. Maybe more like 20, not 20 million. But it was just an open mic. Everybody does a song or two. And she got on the mic, and I remember seeing her. I'm like, damn, that's Proof's mom. Like, I grew up with posters of D12 on my wall, and I loved Proof. I'm like, damn, that's Proof's mom. And she was like, she said something, and she passed away some years ago. So rest in peace, Mama P. But she vouched for me heavy. And I remember her saying something like, she got on the mic and she said, whatever you do, whether it's comedy, you rap, you dance, you sing, you got to have something about you, charisma. You know, she was like, people got to be drawn to you before they even hear what it is you do. And she goes, there was a white boy here with long hair. Where's he at? And she points right to me and she goes, you, sir, keep doing what you're doing. There's something about you. And just keep working on the music and keep blah, 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 whatever. And I was like, all right. That was and she put a battery in my back. That was just like, yo, Proof's mom just said, like, I was dope. You know what I'm saying? Cool. And then Jay Dilla's mom played a huge part of why I'm even here in Serbia right now. Dilla's mom, she loves me. And shout out to Ma Dukes. But she loved my music. She took me under her wing. And when she got on the hip hop scene, because she was, I don't know what's the political right way to say this. I don't want to say fighting for, but yeah, fighting for the rights to her son's likeness. Mm-hmm. And they talk about this a lot in the Dilla Time book. And me and her became good friends. And I was driving her around one night to a meeting, to meet one of her lawyers. And she was at a hip hop event, and someone asked me, like, yo, can you drive my Dukes? And I drove her, and I had her laughing, and I was saying funny stuff, and she didn't have a car around her at that time, so I was her ride, and then I drove her home. It was just me and her in the car. So I had like my own personal Dilla interview through my Dukes, you know what I'm saying? And what I asked her that night about Dilla, I'm not gonna repeat. That was just for me. And but she loved me, and she still loves me, and I can call her, and she's done a million things for me. But when she found out I was Serbian, she was like, wait a minute, we got a guy in Serbia that's doing all like the Balkan Dilla, anything official that's involving Dilla. His name is Vlada Stojanovic. And she hooked me up with him, and my relationship with Vlada Stojanovic is how my relationship with Fat Philly begins. Smoking Mardelano, Struka, Frankie, all this. You know what I'm saying? This would have never happened. I just would have been I just would have been spitting in Detroit if it wasn't for Vlad Stojanovic. And if it wasn't for my Dukes, there would have been no Vlad Stojanovic. And if it wasn't for no Dilla, there would have been no my Dukes for her. You know what I'm saying? Mm. I went to her house where... the Yancey house, you know what I'm saying? And cool story about that is I was in college. I had to do some type of paper. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to interview my Dukes. So I went to her house. As soon as you walk in the house, there's nothing but paintings of Dilla everywhere. That like fan mail, you know what I'm saying? Just fan art from all over the world. And I couldn't believe it. And this is in Conant Gardens, where Slum Village is from, where Dilla's from, where her family's all from. And I'm doing the interview. I had to walk outside for a second. Illa J walks in the house. Hey, what up, though, man? Blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? And so that was really cool. And I interviewed her just for like a college project. I ended up putting it on YouTube. And it was really cool. And I wish I had better camera equipment at that time, because that was a long time ago. I had some like bullshit fucking camera. We didn't have these iPhones back then. Mm. And but you know, that was around the time she embraced me and introduced me to Vlada Stojanovic and everything. And Ma Dukes is my people's, and where she's from, that area, Conant Gardens, where Dilla's from and everything, around the block. Like what I was saying, like ima puno naši u Detroit. Mm-hmm. And there's like Balkan meat market. There's a graveyard where it's all like Orthodox Serbian people are buried. That's all in the same neighborhood. My parents met each other like a few blocks away where from Dilla's from. So I just want people to understand like that part of Detroit, Conant Gardens, where Dilla's from, the east side of Detroit, at that time in the 70s, 80s, 90s, had, again, a lot of Yugoslavian people. It didn't matter if you were from Croatia, Bosnia, Serbia, whatever. But yeah, that was, I interviewed Ma Dukes at her house. She showed me a cool picture that Eminem sent her, that Eminem and Paul Rosenberg sent her of Dilla, T3, and I think Paul Rosenberg was in the studio that Eminem had from like a long time ago that he sent her, you know what I'm saying? That Shady Records sent her as just like we're sorry for your loss and shit like that. And a lot of people don't know that. Like, for the people in Europe who think that like the D12 and Eminem branch and the Slum Village Dilla branch are two separate things, I already said this earlier, they're not. They're the same family tree. Eminem was in Jay Dilla's basement. You know what I'm saying? They know each other. They knew each other very well. And I think a lot of people don't know that. I think a lot of people don't think that that's the case. Yeah. I didn't even think that was the case until I got on the scene and I met these people that knew all these people. And I was like, this is all the same shit.
Yeah.
The earliest memories of hip hop that I have is seeing the Flintstones commercial for like the cereal. And like Fred Flintstone's like carrying the boombox and they're like rapping in a commercial for Fruity Pebbles. That's like probably one of the earliest like hip hop memories I have. Izvini, my phone's going crazy. Other than that, MC Breed. I remember my uncles listening to MC Breed a lot. And I remember them giving the tape of Snoop Dogg's Doggy Style to my cousins, and they had to hide it. And when my older relative, found out my nephews were hiding the Snoop Dogg tape, they got like in big trouble. You know what I'm saying? Because they weren't supposed to be listening to that. Those are my earliest memories of hip hop. And obviously I remember when I was 4 or 5, 6 years old, MC Hammer, Vanilla Ice, all that shit. But the moment I fell in love with hip hop, it was Biggie Smalls. I heard More Money, More Problems. And I was like, yo, this song is like a drug. I was a kid, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, yo, this song is this is incredible. And then a few years later, not a few years later, like later that year, my parents finally gave in and got cable TV because only like rich people had cable TV. We were not rich. And we got cable TV. And I was finally able to watch music videos. And when I saw Biggie Smalls Hypnotized video, I was like, yo, this is the same motherfucker I heard on the radio. Right then I said, when I grow up, I'm going to be Biggie Smalls. Biggie Smalls is what the fuck I'm going to be. And my dad said, no, you're not. But we're here. And I'm the Biggie Smalls of Serbia. No, I'm not. I'm just joking. But yeah, that's the moment I fell in love. And then when I got older, I kept falling in love with hip hop because like, I fell in love with Biggie Smalls, with Tupac, and blah, blah, blah. My first CD was Puff Daddy, No Way Out. And then, like, I went back in time and, like, I bothered my older brother for, like, his LL Cool J CD and shit like that. But then I was only listening to, like, the top 40 rappers, the ones that were, like, really famous. You know what I'm saying? But eventually, I started, like, collecting XXL magazines. I wasn't, like, buying money at school. I'm sorry. I wasn't buying lunch at school. I was saving the money my parents were giving me to buy like lunch at school. I was saving that money and I was buying CDs, XXL magazine, Source magazine. So I started reading about like, well, what's the non-mainstream hip hop? And I remember like learning like about, that's how even though I'm from Detroit, that's how I learned about Slum Village. So like when they came out with I'm Calling, and that was like their big pop hit with Kanye West and John Legend, I was like, wait a minute. These motherfuckers are acting like they never heard of Slum Village before, but I read about them in a magazine and I felt so cool because I knew about them and most like other people didn't. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. And so that's I fell in love with that type of hip hop. And then like it was a brand new relationship. When I started like digging for MF Doom, Common, Mos Def, Talib Kweli, Hieroglyphics, like all the super nerdy hip hop shit. And I'm still in love with this shit, dog. You know what I'm saying? Freddie Gibbs. I fell in love with hip hop all over again when I discovered Freddie Gibbs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was brand new to me all over again. So, you know what I mean? But the earliest memories, the moment that really like fucking blew my brain to bits, it was Biggie Smalls, bro.
Cool. Do you remember some first lines that you wrote?
Yeah, I do.
Rhymes. Yeah.
I'm not going to repeat them, but I do.
Yeah.
I remember writing them. Instead of repeating them, here's a fucking crazy story how the universe works. The first beat I ever wrote rhymes to was a DJ Head beat on the Eminem Slim Shady LP. I didn't know who the fuck DJ Head was. Eminem was brand new at the time, like the hottest thing out, Slim Shady LP. Who would have thought 20 years later, DJ Head is my DJ and my producer and everything. How crazy. The first rhymes I wrote was to his beat, and I was thinking I was just writing to an Eminem beat, and now he's my overseer. You know what I'm saying? My executive producer. How crazy is that? And I'm on tour with him in Europe with him.
Cool. And on the concert, you said that your uncle liked Without Me.
Yeah. So my, last time I was in Serbia was 2005. I remember I have family in Sremčica, and I got to go visit them tomorrow. They're going to get mad at me. But I remember 2005, that trip, we were in Serbia for 3 weeks. And the Detroit Pistons made it to the finals that year with the San Antonio Spurs. And I remember me and my uncle woke up at 4 a.m. to watch the NBA game together, Game 7, Spurs versus Pistons. And I remember him telling me that like a few years earlier when Eminem dropped Without Me, it was like all over Serbia. Like that was the fucking biggest song in the world. Like everybody knew it, no matter what part of the world you were from. And he's like, I don't even listen to rap music. But he was telling me in Serbian. Yeah. He's like, I don't even listen to rap music, but I listen, like that song was crazy dope. I didn't know who DJ Head was at the time, you know what I'm saying? And here I am touring Serbia with him. Yeah. And the guy who made that song. So, and my uncle that told me that is no longer here with us. He passed away some years ago. So it's crazy how the universe works, man.
Yeah.
It's like a movie.
Yeah, we had an opportunity to see DJ Head in Belgrade. Really nice guy, humble guy.
Humblest.
How did you meet him?
So he likes to tell this story on stage. When he left Shady Records, he moved to Germany, and he had a Serbian girlfriend. His girlfriend was like half Serbian, half Iranian, Iraqi. I forgot. Forgive me. But she was Serbian. Like she lived with her baba from Serbia and everything. And he lived with her, and so DJ Head is no stranger to like cevapi and piskavice and srpska salata. Nothing. That's not new to him. He knows about that because he was in Germany for 10 years and he was DJing, and he left Shady Records and he was chilling, just collecting royalty checks from his hits that he produced for Eminem. And after like 10 years, he moved back to Detroit because he owned a house in Detroit and everything. And like a week or two after moving back to Detroit from Germany, after he broke up with his girl, he always tells the story like, man, I thought that I would never meet another Serbian person again. And I'm at this hip-hop event, this weekly hip-hop event, and I'm freestyling, I'm ciphering outside. It's like me and another 5 MCs. And DJ Head took a liking to me. He walked up to me, he started kicking it with me, and I'm hearing people call him Head, but it didn't hit me because by this time I knew who DJ Head was, but I didn't know what he looked like, really. I'm like, wait a minute. Is this the same DJ Head from Detroit that produced Renegade and blah, 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 blah? And people were like, yeah, bro, that's him. And he just moved back from Germany. So he starts talking. He's like, yeah, I had this girlfriend, blah, 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 Serbian girlfriend. I go, whoa, I'm Serbian, bro. And we became pretty cool. We did not become best friends right away. But over the years, we kept in touch. And then finally, I was like, yo, Head, You're the Grammy Award winning motherfucker that's been in the studio with Dre, M, Snoop, all these motherfuckers. I know you know what you're talking about, bro. I want you to be the overseer of my records. You don't have to make any of the beats. I just want you to have the final say on all of these records. So he would really tell me, he would really push me, like, change your flow on this one. You got to deliver that better. This beat is kind of whack. In order for it to be good, we got to change the drums. So I let him become that for me, my Quincy Jones, my Dr. Dre, and that's where we're at with it. And then he's my performance DJ too, and that's one of the closest people I got in my life is my man's DJ Head.
Cool. So now let's talk about your albums. Sorry. I mean, you have a bunch of tapes.
Yeah.
I think from 2012, maybe first EP, yeah, Maria or something like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. Damn, dog, you did your research, Rasha. You did your research. I appreciate that. Okay. Yeah, a lot of those are practice. A lot of those are you're listening to a cat that loves music, but still learning the craft and hasn't figured it out yet. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of music. I'm sorry. There's a lot of music that is probably out there that I wish I never put out. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of like cringeworthy to me. But I understand and I appreciate that I had to make that music in order to get where I'm at now. So for me, like the beginning really starts with me and my man's J-Mac from Detroit, dope producer, dope DJ. We had a group called Beyond Physics that caught a lot of buzz locally in Detroit. Me and my man Slot A did the project. That was where we had Fat Cat on it, and my first song to get played on like Shade 4-5, Sirius XM, Rap is Out of Control, all the hip hop stations on Sirius XM was my song called What Up Doe, featuring Fat Cat. And that was very proud for me because What Up Doe is like what everybody says in Detroit. So for like me to have that record with one of the dopest and it went worldwide, and that was my first song ever pressed up on vinyl, was What Up Doe. And really right there is like where the good music starts. And from there I did the project Mihailo and the Plum Brandy, Peach Brandy, Bill and Isaiah. So yeah.
I found some song with Guilty Simpson, I'm Ill, from 2017. Yeah, really interesting beat.
That's not the only time I hooked up with Guilty Simpson, and that was some experimental shit.
Yeah,
because it was like a very
noise music, something like that.
Yeah, it was like a very fast-paced beat, and Guilty Simpson don't rap like that. And I think that's why I called him to do that record. I just talked to Guilty Simpson recently. Guilty Simpson is my motherfucking mans. And fuck music. Guilty Simpson is the homie, and I got a lot of love for him. He just performed at my block party when I released this Breskovača album, Peach Brandy. We had a huge block party in Detroit. It was very successful, and it was free. It was free for people to go to, and like Hennessy sponsored it, Red Bull, a bunch of motherfuckers sponsored it. And Guilty Simpson was one of the performers. And I'm not going to give out too much of his information, but it was like, in a nutshell, the man just wanted to do it for me. Cool. He just wanted to do it. He didn't give a fuck about how much he's getting paid, this, that, and this. He was like, only for you, Valid. I got you. All the rest is bullshit. And there was a tragedy that happened in Detroit that I'm not going to talk about because it's too fucked up in the last year in the hip hop community. And me and him had a long conversation about that. And Guilty was like, you know what, bro? You one of the realest motherfuckers in this bitch. And that's my guy. I talk to Guilty Simpson often. I talk to Fat Cat often. And I love Guilty. That's my guy.
Cool. So let's talk about the album Mihailo from 2019.
Yeah.
Your maybe most personal,
absolutely
intimate album.
Yeah.
Tell us something about it.
What can I say about that project? I went into that project thinking to myself, yo, I'm in my 30s now. This is my last album. Honestly. And I was like, so like when I reached out to Illa J, he was like, yo, whatever you want. When I reached out to 14KT, DJ Dez, Elzai, Jessica Caramore, who's on like Talib Kweli's project, it was really dope. It was extremely dope. And a lot of people worked on that album, not just me. That was like a full team. Like DJ Head was very involved on that album. We had a lot of live musicians come in for that album. And like Kareem Riggins is not on that album, but a lot of his people are. Like Sasha Cash Pirco, dope guitarist that everybody in Detroit, he tours with Common, everybody in Detroit loves him. So like that there's like that hip hop crew of like Common, Kareem Riggins, Mad Lib, blah blah blah. A lot of people from that team work on that album, Mihailo. You know what I'm saying? Like that's why like Elzai's on it and shit like that. And I thought that was gonna be my last album, and I was like, I'm gonna give every ounce of energy I have to this album, and then I'm just gonna go like be a regular person, like fuck it. And because of that album, because honestly, you're wearing a Wu-Tang hoodie right now, Ghostface Killah caught wind of that album and shared it on Facebook. And because Ghostface shared it on Facebook, what I believe truly happened was like a lot of kids, or hip hop heads, I should say, not kids, in Serbia, Croatia, Balkan in general, were like, what in the fuck does Ghostface Killah know about Mihailo? Like that's like a straight up Serbian name. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then I think there were some people that...
Sorry,
like,
I must say that first time I heard about you is because I'm following Ghostface on Instagram. So
because you follow Ghostface on Instagram.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck is Mihailo?
Who in the fuck does Ghostface Killah know named Mihailo?
Yeah.
And when I started to see like the comments on YouTube under certain music videos from that album that were coming from this region... Ever since I got into hip hop, like me and my boy Pigpen, who's not even Serbian or anything, he's like, bro, you need to do like a ex-Yugoslavian like themed project because that's really like close to you. And I was like, you know what? Maybe one day, whatever. I would like to do it. But then when I saw like the interest from here sparked, and I saw like people on YouTube saying like, oh, yeah, naš čujek, and you know what I'm saying? I was like, hey, yo, Vlada Stojanovic, I think it's time to do this project we've been talking about, this Slivovica project. And he was like, done. I'm going to hook you up with Fat Philly. And it all kind of happened from the Mihailo project. That's how the Plum Brandy project was born. Shout out to Ghostface Killah, man, and all the Wu-Tang fans in this region of the world. But and it was Vlada Stojanovic from Serbia hooking me up with Fat Philly from Zagreb, and I really wanted it to be like a full Balkan thing. I didn't want it to be like just a Serbian thing or some shit like that, because low key, personally, I don't really feel like that. Like, I'm not like some nationalist motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? I'm proud to be Serbian. I love that I'm Serbian. I'm Serbian Orthodox. Blah 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 blah. But yo, man, even though we're different people, we're Bosnian, Serbian, Croatian, we all speak the same language, we eat the same food, we drink the same rakia. These are all my people. I don't care how they identify. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to identify the same thing as me. You're still my fucking thing. So I was like, when I started talking with Fat Philly and that relationship began, I was like, look, Philly, whoever you think is dope, the concept of this project is ex-Yugo samples, ex-Yugo producers. Done. And I'm going to put some Detroit motherfuckers on there, and we'll see where the fuck this goes. 5 songs, 6 songs, whatever. He was like, all right. And boom, right off the rap, he mentions Marvel. He mentions Gotze from Skopje. He mentions, this guy, that guy, whatever. I got Boldy James on the project from Griselda. Yeah, that was right around the time he signed to Griselda. Boldy came to my studio. We knocked that out. That's my guy. You know what I'm saying? I know his whole crew, his whole clique. You know what I mean?
How was it working with Baldy?
Easy.
Yeah.
Easy as fuck. Filming, recording that song was easy as fuck. Yo, Baldy. I got a song called Foreign Forever. I'm talking about, I'm on some political shit. Not on no nationalistic shit. Nothing like that. I grew out of that when I was a kid. But, you know what I'm saying? I was like, but political shit, somewhat political. It has nothing to do even really with really being Serbian or whatever. This was like, I grew up in a part of Detroit where there was a lot of ethnic people, a lot of immigrants. It didn't matter if you were Serbian, ex-Yugoslavian, Mexican, Arabic, Lebanese, Romanian. It didn't matter. My verse is for like every foreigner that feels like America pushes them to the side. Point blank, period. And that's what that was. I was like, Baldy, I don't need you to do that. I need you to come here and just flip the concept Foreign Forever. So he did his shit. He was talking about how, you know, he's drinking cognac in Italy and da 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 da. He flew right from Alchemist's studio right into Detroit and came to my studio and laid that shit down. And I got to chop it up with Alchemist about that. I was with Alchemist and Baldy in 21. You know, and Alchemist was looking at the fucking vinyl, the peach brandy. I'm sorry, it's Vini, the plum brandy vinyl, and that was a crazy moment for me. You know what I'm saying? And Baldy was like, "This is my shit." Baldy reached out to me a week after we laid that song Foreign Forever, and he's like, "Dawg, I've been bumping this shit in my whip all week." You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Baldy James, shout out to Griselda Records. Yeah, shout out to them. But that's how that I forgot what your question was. But
if they're listening.
Yeah, if they're listening to this podcast, and shout out to Yellen Pivo if they're listening. No, I'm sorry. I don't know if you have a sponsorship or not. But
yeah, we don't have it. But
take that shout out back.
But they could sponsor it, so yeah. Sponsor this shit.
Sponsor it, Yellen. Hey, you know what? Yellen Pivo did give me a shout out recently when my Peach Brandy album dropped. The Yellen Music page or something, they did a sweet ass post on their website. So I'll say shout out to Yellen Pivo if that's okay with you.
Yeah. What's your favorite beer?
My favorite beer, Modelo.
Okay.
Mexican beer.
Mexican. Okay, yeah.
Mexicano.
And Serbian beer.
Serbian beer. Nishishko. No, Yellen Pivo.
Yellen.
Because I'm holding the can. Hey yo, Yellen, cut me a check, dog. Come on, man.
Okay, and you connected with Smokey Mardeljano, then your Struka.
Yeah, I just connected with him tonight. I just ate Sadama with him tonight.
Yeah, Smokey Mardeljano was here last week on your show.
Oh, dope.
On your show.
Oh, yes, he was. Yeah, I thought you meant on your show.
I think,
yeah, Smokey's the fucking man. Smokey, ever since I came to Serbia, this trip, Smokey has taken no shortcuts to make sure I'm taken care of and I'm good. I'm fed. I got somewhere to sleep. People are treating me good. Smokey Mardeljano is the fucking man. And I'm probably going to end up hanging out with him after I get out of this fucking interview. Shout out to you, Smokey. Hvala.
Pozdrav za Smokija, stvarno. Sad krenuo sam srpskom, nije pa razumeš?
Yeah.
Da, da kažem nešto o Plum Brandy EP. Okay, from 2020, yeah. So, we talked about that, and I am a little bit drunk, so let's talk
Beautiful.
let's talk about other album with the Stretch Money, yeah, from
my guy.
Yeah. You described it like 80s cocaine cowboy vibe, and the name of the album is Bill and Isaiah. So tell us something about the concept. They're basketball players, and so tell us about the story and about the connection with Stretch Money.
Stretch Money is a legend in Detroit.
You had
a street legend.
Yeah, sorry, you had a great freestyle on Shady 45.
Yeah, me and Stretch Money went to Shade 45 and killed that shit. we pretty much went viral in Detroit, especially Stretch Money. He's one of the, I'll go on record and I'll say this. I've met a lot of great rappers in my life that are dope lyricists and they can make a great song. Rapping, I think Stretch is the best. I think Stretch is the best rapper I ever met in my life. Because I made a whole album with him. And I saw how easy it is for him to write a verse in 5 minutes, and in one take, he can go in the studio and knock it out like he knew it by heart. He is incredible, super talented. He's the best. He's one of the greatest MCs I ever met in my life. And for those that don't know, Stretch Money is a household name in Detroit. He had a song called Take Money to Make Money that if you go into any home in Detroit and say, do you know what that song, Take Money to Make Money? Everybody will start singing it. And it started going national. And you know what I'm saying? His story is his story to tell. I'm not going to tell his story, but he's a local legend in Detroit. And when he approached me and he said, yo, Val, I want to do an album with you. Because when we were working on the Plum Brandy EP Refill, I put him on a remix of the Kool-Aid joint. I'm sorry, not the Kool-Aid joint, the Misty joint. And me and him were on the same thing. We wanted to do like an 80s cocaine cowboy vibe project. Both of us did. Yeah. He was like, why don't we just do it together, dog? And it was supposed to be like Miami Vice, but I knew people from Detroit that already did a Miami Vice themed project, and I didn't want to do it. I was like, yo, dog, I got something way better for us. Bill and Isaiah. I'm the tall white guy. You're the short black guy. 80s Detroit Pistons. But it gets deeper than that. We both felt like we were counted out. My mans did time in prison. You know what I'm saying? Some people were calling him a one-hit wonder. Some people were calling him like he's washed up, blah, 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 blah. And I felt like, man, I'm giving y'all this Mihailo project that's getting crazy reviews in hip hop, but locally y'all acting like I'm not that guy. You know what I'm saying? Or like I didn't accomplish that. Plum Brandy EP just went viral online. Boldy, James, and me just put out this song. Y'all, you know what I'm saying? So me and Stretch related with each other on that, like, oh, y'all gonna count us out? You guys are gonna treat us like the stinky kids in class and put us to the corner? Y'all are treating us like the Detroit bad boys. That's how the Pistons were treated in the 80s. The referees didn't like them. All the other players didn't like them. The media didn't like them. Oh, we're the bad guys? All right, cool. Watch this. We're going to drop the greatest album this city ever seen. And that's how we really felt. And that's why like a lot of the songs are on that topic. And that is, Bill and Isaiah is one of my proudest like things I ever did in music as far as like a full cohesive album. Like there's so many layers to it. The whole album plays like a basketball game. A lot of people don't know that. The first 2 songs is like quarter 1. The second 2 songs have a different vibe. It's quarter 2. The next 2 songs is halftime, so they're like the commercial records on purpose. You know what I'm saying? And we win the championship at the end of the game. And it all sounds like 80s cocaine shit. We win the 89 championship. So that we worked on that album for a long time. And we chipped away at every skit in between each album. I've never worked that hard on an album, Bill and Isaiah. And when that came out, motherfuckers knew this is one of the dopest albums to ever come out of the city. Everybody knew it. We packed out, like our release party was a huge venue that Ghostface Killer performs at, that like major acts come to. That was our release party, and it was packed wall to wall. And like everybody knew, even Metro Times Magazine, which is one of the biggest magazines in Detroit, so this is one of the most interesting, innovative albums that Detroit hip hop has ever produced. And when I saw that headline, I looked at Stretch Money. I called him. I meant to say I didn't look at him, but I called him and I said, "We the ones, bro. There's nobody better than us." I really felt like that. Championship, Detroit Pistons shit.
Yeah, you hear some Serbian Inat. Yeah.
Inat, brate. Yes, Inat. Fuck that humble shit.
Yeah, but production is really, really dope. I mean, and really weird in some ways.
Weird,
so,
yeah. And that's what we wanted. So the final statement on that project, Stretch Money is a hood ass motherfucker, and the street rappers love him. The Payroll Giovannis, the you know what I'm saying? Doughboy Cash Out. That's like the street rap of Detroit. Stretch Money's the godfather to them. But in real life, this dude is a true MC. Like, he loves hip hop, even though he birthed the street shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know how, like, right now in Serbia, you have, like, Smoke Mardelano and Bigru and Paya over here, but then you got, like, DeVito and Voyage over here. Stretch Money is the king of the DeVito Voyage lane in Detroit, but he's really a hip-hop backpack cat. So when me and him got together, people didn't even think we knew each other. Imagine, like, Smoke and Voyage doing an album together. They don't even, like, why? Like, you get what I'm saying? That shit wouldn't make sense. And a lot of people in Detroit felt like that. They're like, why are you doing a project with that guy? And why is that guy doing it? How do you guys even know each other in real life? And when that happened, we were like, look, people think of me, they think of neo soul, boom bap, hip hop. When people think of Stretch, they think of street shit. We're not going to do either. It's not going to be a boom bap album. It's not going to be a street album. We're going to make a movie soundtrack. That's how we got together and did that album. And when you listen to that album, it plays like a movie. It plays like a basketball game. So me and Stretch, we always joke. We say, we made an album for everybody by making an album for nobody. We made it for ourselves. Yeah. And that's how it fucking happened.
Cool. Ko nije poslušao album Bill and Isaiah, Valida i Stretch Manija obavezno da baci uho, a i dalje razmišljamo o ideji da Smoky Mardeljano napravi album sa Vojažom. Si rekao Vojaž? Yes.
Let's make it happen.
Yeah.
Maybe I accidentally birthed some crazy shit in the Balkans. I didn't even mean to do it. Rokam, desi, brate.
I da, ovdje i DJ Rokam, mi se nismo upoznali, ali teo sam da te zovem inače emisiju, tako da, eto, dobrodošao sljedeći put. Kad smo kod DJ Rokama, on je na tom sljedećem albumu, je li tako?
Rokam is on the new album, yes sir.
Je, dosta srpskih izvođača, je li tako? Tu je i Marvel na albumu, je li tako?
Marvel, dođi ovdje. You mind if we get Marvel on the scene?
Dođi.
Is this microphone on?
Da, sad ću ga uplim. Ček. Yeah.
Ćao. What up, though?
What up, though?
Pa nam kaži kako je išla saradnja sa, pošto si više pesama uradio, tako sa njim, sa Validom.
Da.
Kako to ide?
Pa lepo, znaš kako. Ništa, Fili me kontaktirao, bio, rekao, radimo na projektu jednom, naš dečko iz Detroita, porijeklom odavde, iz ovih krajeva. Uglavnom radi na materijalu nekakvom koji bih htio napraviti, koncipirati da je suradnja sa balkanskim producentima i izvođačima. I ništa kao, ajde nekak bito sa domaćim semplovima izvuci, pa eto nešto da se radi. I uglavnom na Plan Brandy EP-u je došlo do te prve suradnje gdje sam, znači, Take Me Down.
Take Me Down, yeah, that was the joint.
Stvar, da, sa ID-om.
And then the remix on the refill, you redid the beat.
Da, okej, je. Da, zato je prva verzija bita je bila malo već starija i to, i rekao sam, znaš šta, malo sam nešto čačko po tome, još bi ga doradio, ali nije bilo vremena, kao, on je već kao morao to štampat, to je moralo van ići. I onda u međuvremenu je izašla ta kao prva verzija, a onda kako sam uspio i tu drugu završiti, onda je rekao radit ću refill koji je kao reizdanje i to će ići na refill. I tako se i desilo to. Tako da, to je bilo što se tiče Plan Brandy, EP-a, Šljivovice, a što se tiče Peach Brandy-a. Tu smo rekao kao, samo se javio jedan dan i rekao u stilu, ok, di smo stali, nastavljamo, Šljiva je otišla, popila se sad, ide Peach Brandy, ide Kajsija. Rekao, brate, ali to bi trebalo biti Apricot Brandy.
That's why I changed the name. Because apricot brandy is hard as, it's like, doesn't have the same ring. Peach brandy
Peach brandy,
is
okay.
easier to say, and it has a little sexual conduendo in this part of the world. It almost sounds like you're saying when you say peach is short for something else.
Yeah, you said Breskovac. I thought.
Da.
Šta pričaš?
Who drinks that? But you know what? This guy has a bottle.
Pa vidio sam
From Serbia or from Croatia?
Crna Gora.
From Crna Gora.
Nemam ja, ali
And
bio
on the
sam
bottle
ljetos u
it said
Crnoj Gori
Breskovača.
i da, i našu bocu
Ima.
i piše
znači,
Breskovača.
There's like one or two companies in
Rekao,
Serbia that
wow,
make
svaka
peach
čast.
brandy. It does exist.
Da, iako ju nisam probao, trebao sam ju probati, ali
Ajde.
nema veze. I ništa, onda ništa kao krenuli smo raditi nešto za taj materijal. Opet je bila varijanta naši regionalni semplovi i uglavnom ništa, čak i on nekakve stvari imao koje, originale, koje je htio da se, sa kojima je htio da se radi. Poslao mi je nekakve, kao predloške, i rekao ako te nešto od ovog vozi, uzmi nešto, skucaj s tim, pa eto, da vidimo di smo, šta smo. I ništa, ja sam složio jedan bit koji mu se svidio, rekao sam, odmah sam taj bio izabrao, rekao ajde mogli bi nešto s tim. To je stvar, na kraju je ispala stvar sa Book Brown.
Book Brown, shout out to my homegirl Book Brown, baby.
Da,
Plush.
Plush se zove stvar. Eto,
If you guys don't know who Book Brown is, Book Brown is a super, super dope MC. She is so fresh from Detroit, and she has a whole project with Apollo Brown called the Brown Theory, and she has songs with Diamond D, Rhapsody. So if you're a real hip hop head, you probably know about Book Brown, and she's on the Peach Brandy album, produced by my guy Marvel. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Pored toga, bio je još jedan sample koji mu se bio svidio baš i nešto sam krenuo s njim isto čačkati i onda je rekao, ovo mi se isto sviđa, ajde nešto malo dalje s tim radi da vidimo u kom smjeru ide. I uglavnom to je ispala zapravo prva stvar na albumu. Zove se Peach Slayer.
Peach Slayer, baby. You did the intro, you did the theme music for the album.
Baš je theme music. I uglavnom pa ništa, super je ispala stvar. Ja, naravno, zadovoljan sam sa obe i realno sa cijelim materijalom kako je izsekvenciran i kao kako teče kao jedna cijelina i to. Eto, ovaj put nije bio EP samo na kraju koliko, 16?
Shit, it's a lot of songs, man. It's a double vinyl.
Da.
Sad kad već tu da te pitam, apropo samplova, kako to funkcioniše, pošto u Americi su stroži zakoni što se tiče toga, kako ste to, kako inače ti kad radiš produkciju, kakav ti je odnos prema samplovima, ili...
Well,
Kao, je li to za mene pitanje ili za Valida?
There's two answers to that question.
Okay.
When I was working on these projects, I would ask the producers, do you have any like domestic samples, that beats that you flip? If you do or you don't, I have a secret list of ex-Yugoslavian ex-Yugoslavian songs that I think could be flipped to be some dope ass shit, and that's how that works.
Da.
And on the legal level.
Da, ako si meni bio uputio isto pitanje, da, pa pazi, rekao bi šta bi Vlada LG rekao, godine u priči. Kad kažem godine u priči, hoću reći iskustvo, znači trebaš znati fino iščopat sample da jevi ga, da onaj koga je odsvirao inicijalno da pojma nema da je to bio on, jebi ga. Malo da ga zbuniš. Tako da, eto, ne znam,
A kako, postoje u Hrvatskoj takvi zakoni, autorska prava? Mislim da se baš poštuje ili to...
Pazi, ne znam koliko smijem pričati o tim stvarima.
Da, to ovdje
ne znam koliko smijem pričati o tome. Ne znam,
kao da te ne pitam...
Siva zona.
Da.
Siva zona, nemam pojma, ide u nekim smjerovima di u principu ne bi moglo više, ali ako se gleda u globalu kako je funkcioniralo dok je kad se formirala kao scena u Hrvatskoj i kad su sva ona legendarna izdanja bila izlazila van, a brate, šta da pričamo, to je ono, sample na samplu, ono.
Da.
Tako da, ali opet kao naš, nije niko imao probleme. Ti ljudi koji su bili radili na tome, nije niko, koliko ja znam, imao nekakav problem s tim. I, uglavnom, eto, ono.
Tako, nećemo puno pričamo o tome.
A da, mislim, pazi, ono, nije čak, znaš šta, sad malo zvuči kao da ja ono izbjegavam odgovoriti na pitanje. I koliko god kao su među vremenu i pojavili nekakve agencije ili nemam pojma ni ja šta koje su kao htjele sad tu nekakvog reda krenut provoditi i uvoditi, ja mislim da su i sami nekako ono bili svjesni koliko je to s obzirom na okolnosti u našim krajevima onako zajeban posao. I kako sad, naš ono, odjednom do sad je išlo ovako, kako će sad odjednom preko noći to ići ovako. Tako da šta znam. U svakom slučaju ja sam rekao ono, ne znam, ono, neću previše se tu kao ono petljato i... Pa pazi, mislim, kad gledamo i vani, ono, recimo, da uzmemo za primjer nekakvog, ono, evo, alkemista, pa jebote, ono, ako alkemist ide i kao prijavljuje sve šta sjeće, ono, mislim da, ono, bi davnih dana okačio klin sve to, ono, šta, s čim radi, tako da, nemam pojma.
Nema hip-hopa bez samplovanja, tako
znaš šta,
Nema.
Šta kažeš?
Nema hip-hopa bez samplovanja.
Nema i ja mislim da su, na kraju i diskografi da su morali postati svjesni toga da ako sad se taj element izbaci iz cijele priče, onda to više nije hip-hop. Kao da budemo iskreni. Ono.
To jest. Dobro. Bližimo se kraju. Marvele, hvala ti što si...
Hey, I want to give a big shout out to Marvel. Hold on. I want to give a big shout out to Marvel. This is my friend.
Man.
This is my guy, my man. Kad ja sam bio u Šibenik, this guy took care of me.
Bili smo ljetos, da.
And that was my first show ever in Europe. And this guy got drunk with me. Izvini.
Too much info.
This guy doesn't drink. He's completely sober. Izvini. That was a complete lie.
Okay.
He's completely sober.
Nećemo pretjerivati sad, ajde.
And this guy took care of me. And he was by my side the whole time for 4 days. Me, DJ Head, and Marvel in Šibenik. And this guy, I had a once-in-a-lifetime experience when we were taken out to, what were those islands called?
Koordinati.
Yes.
Koordinati, znači ono,
Like
Koordinati nacionalni park, jedan od hrvatskih nacionalnih parkova, mislim, to je meni bio isto prvi put da sam bio tamo.
And
da, baš ono, super iskustvo.
Cool. I had my first show ever in Europe, and he was on stage before us, and this guy purposely played nothing but Detroit shit. He was playing Fat Cat, Guilty Simpson, Slum Village, getting the crowd hyped up for like Detroit hip hop. And that meant a lot to me, you know what I'm saying? And this is my guy.
Kako drugačije zagrijat publiku za Valida.
My man. And anytime I'm in the Balkan, this guy is always going to be by my side.
No doubt.
He wasn't even supposed to be on this podcast, but he's here with me. Sure. And this is the legend, Marvel.
Wasn't even supposed to be.
Man, let's talk about... I know, and he came to my show in Belgrade.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your credentials. You produce for Redman.
Yeah.
Who else you produce for, brate?
Boot Camp Click. J-Ro from the Alcoholics.
J-Ro, come on, man. Who here in the Balkans have you produced for?
Planet Asia as well.
Planet Asia.
In Balkans.
Lud.
Wow.
Struka. Don't you have a Struka joint?
Huh?
You produced for Struka, didn't you?
Sure. Yeah. I was yesterday, jučer sam bio sa Strukom, bio sam kod njega. Kaže meni Struka, brate, koliko mi imamo stvari, kao tokom, od kad surađujemo i to koliko, jel ima 10 stvari imamo. Rekao je, imamo u principu skoro za cijeli jedan album, kao šta smo tokom godina napravili. Ja kažem, da jebate.
Who else from the Balkans have you worked with? So Struka's one. Go down the list, brate. Just start naming the names.
Initially, since I'm from Zagreb, Hrvatska, I started working with... Počeo sam raditi sa hrvatskim izvođačima zato jer sam iz Hrvatske, jel? Znači, ne znam, evo recimo Target iz Treme Lemena, što je meni bilo nekakve 2003. ili ne znam nijakoj godine, 2004. Bilo mi je nepojmljivo kao da mi Target kao repa na bit i tako njemu sam složio par stvari. Nakon toga Nered, Connect dok su još na prvom albumu radili i rap i tako to. Ne znam, onda u tom nekakvom momentu, ne znam, dječaci i tako to. Mislim, poanta cijele priče je da tokom vremena je zapravo hrvatska scena nekako počela je, ne znam, nekako malo stagnirati, a kako je Hrvatska počela stagnirati, u Srbiji je zapravo se sve više i više razvijala i šta je najjače tokom vremena,
Did you ever, don't you have some, maybe I'm wrong, but didn't you ever work on some shit with Kool-Aid, co-production or something like that?
Yeah, we did, but I think that nothing that came out.
Nothing that came out.
But,
okay, izvini. I'm sorry, I'm putting out too much information.
I mean,
Kool-Aid is the legend. Kool-Aid is my man.
Kool-Aid, znači, povezan se sa Kool-Aidom sam se baš u nekakvoj ranoj fazi povezao.
Ja te pitam, izvini što prikrijem, izvini što sam sad intervju prešao.
Ipak si ti voditelj.
Sorry, I just hijacked the interview. Now I'm doing the interview. This is valid interviews Marvel.
Kad je već tu Marvel, da ga pitam još nešto, što se tiče vaše produkcije, zaista uvijek je važila hrvatska produkcija masna, tako uvijek je govoreno tako o tome, prosto imate specifičan taj neki zvuk i prvi ste počeli da idete u inostranstvo, u smislu da radite sa strancima, mislim jedini zapravo ste ostali.
Da, to je zbog toga, da.
Kako je došlo do toga? Pošto ja mislim da kod nas nema toga, niko ne srađuje sa...
Mislim, to sve datira još iz 90-ih i u
Fat Philly, vjerojatno.
Da, Fat Philly, znači Blackout, rap show, radio emisija legendarna na Radiju 101, koja je sad proslavila, ja mislim danas ili juče, ovih dana, uglavnom, proslavila je 31 godinu.
Na Exitu su proslavili 30 godina.
To je bilo prošle godine i znači bilo je kao slavilo se 50 godina hip-hopa.
I 30 godina.
Kao internacionalno i 30 godina Blackouta. I onda je bilo na main stage baš, znači, cijeli line-up koji je bio i kombinacija prvo lokalnih izvođača iz Hrvatske i iz Srbije, a oni su zapravo bili otvarali za Onyxe i Wu-Tang. Uglavnom baš se to lijepo poklopilo i lijepo odradilo. Tako da uglavnom da se vratimo na to pitanje, Philly je bio osoba koja je imao, Philly i Frks naravno, imali su super jaku emisiju u to vrijeme, sa najekskluzivnijom muzikom do koje je Philly dolazio putem kontakata koje je ostvario tokom, svog života u Londonu i putovanja u, Ameriku, New York i to. I uglavnom, sa vremenom je počeo dovoditi izvođače da gostuju, rade koncerte u Hrvatskoj, tako da jedan od prvih, odnosno ja mislim možda čak i prvi internacionalni koncert koji je on baš organizirao, su bili OC i Big L 97. na kojem ja nažalost nisam bio zato jer sam bio premali u tom momentu, ali htio sam ići. I uglavnom ništa, da sam malo imao više, da sam bio godinu dana stariji kao šta sam godinu dana, sljedeće godine bio godinu dana stariji, pa sam išao na Das FX-e. Tako bi tad bio na OC-u i Big L-u, međutim, kao nije se desilo. Ali uglavnom, Philly je u međuvremenu, s obzirom na sve te kontakte i to, na cijelu tu situaciju, počeo menadžirati Kool-Aida, Deša i Baby Duxa i njihove bitove šibat fan. I tu je došlo do prvih suradnji i izdanja za strane izdavačke kuće i to. Tako da ja sam generacijski iza njih od 5 do 10 godina, kako od koga, tako da nisam baš ulovio taj vlak. Međutim, moje suradnje do njih je došlo nekim drugim kanalima, recimo što se Redmana tiče, to sam sam na koncertu u Aquariusu došao do njega i dao mu CD sa bitovima što sam mu spržio.
Cool.
Narezao, kako vi kažete. I ništa, i kao javio mi se nazad i kao to je to kao. Evo, čuo sam se sad, neki dan smo se čuli opet nešto.
To je ostvarenje, snova.
Pa je, znaš šta, je, apsolutno, zato jer nekako
i to je taj način kao daš nekome CD.
Da, je, baš kao skroz, ne može organski nego šta je.
Da.
A na kraju je stvar završila i u Reebok reklami za Shaq tek tenisice od Shaquille O'Neala model, znači ta Redmanova stvar.
Legend.
Da, tako da stvarno eto
No, ti si legend.
Pa hvala brate, hvala brate. I uglavnom da, eto evo, samo još da se vratim na ono pitanje što se tiče suradnje nekakvih. Krenuo sam sa onom pričom nekakvom Hrvatska i to naravno kao što je normalno pošto sam od tamo. Ali eto kao, što bi se reklo kao dobar glas daleko se čuje, pa su i u Srbiji onda kao čuli šta radim i čime se bavim i uglavnom došlo je do nekakvih prvih suradnji. Recimo prvi sa kim sam bio surađivao odavde je bio Marcello, sa kojim sam radio na Puzzle Shock albumu. Onda nakon toga je sljedeći izvođač bio Struka. I nakon toga jednostavno kao ne znam, neko se sve počelo otvarati i što bi se reklo na obostrano zadovoljstvo. Kao su te suradnje se krenule dešavati. Onda tu je bilo od ne znam Dvane do Kendija, Gazda Paje, Bad Kopija, svašta nešto.
Sve.
Dada, Ikac Rexona, da.
Cool.
Je.
Da, mislim, ljudi koji slušaju ovu emisiju, to prosto sve znaju, tako da...
Pa da,
to je to,
nema previše potrebe onda. Da ponavljamo gradivo.
Odlično. Ništa, hvala ti što si upao u stvarno mi je zadovoljstvo.
Također,
da sam znao da si ovdje zvabite da dođeš isto emisiju, tako da vidiš...
I had to put my mans on, you know what I'm saying?
Uvijek nađemo put.
Tako je. Ništa, mi smo praktično došli do kraja, čak smo produžili na 15 minuta emisiju. Da kažemo ljudima nešto. Ja sam nastavio na srpskom, razumeš?
Mostly, yeah.
Šta bi rekao ljudima, ti si imao baš ovako veliku turneju, ona se nastavlja, da pozovemo ljude da dođu u Kragujevac, posle u Maribor, je li tako?
I Banja Luka.
I Banja Luka, da. I šta bi generalno poručio, kao šta te očekuje sad u budućnosti, s kim radiš, da li imaš neke projekte?
What's coming next?
Da, yeah. You're going back to US and then what?
I'm going back to US and then what?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm going to cut all my long hair off.
And beard? No.
No, not the beard, but I might be bald.
Okay.
We'll see if that happens, if I can find it in me to do it.
Maybe mustache you can.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool.
Honestly, bro, I'll tell you like this. For the last few years, I've been living in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
For the last few years, I did, since Corona, man, since 2018, I was living in the studio working on Mihailo. I was living in the studio working on Plum Brandy, and then COVID hit, and I was living in the studio working on the refill version of Plum Brandy. And then I was really living in the studio with Stretch Money, chipping away at Bill and Isaiah. And that was a lot of work, not just the music, but the whole rollout, the whole everything, promotion, this, that, and third. And then as soon as I got done with that, I did a mixtape called the Bronco Tape.
Oh, yeah.
And I did Peach Brandy. And Peach Brandy was a full-blown album. I had live musicians coming in. I'm working with all these Balkan. There was a lot of songs on it. I'm tired, dog.
I can see it clearly.
You know, and I don't say that in a bad way. You know, doing the Tigers commercial with Eminem and Stretch Money and G-Man Cash, that was super sweet. A lot of blessings have come my way from my hard work. So I don't say that like I'm working hard and out of regret. I'm working hard and I'm seeing the fruits of my labor and I love it. And I got to say now, because of the Peach Brandy and all this shit, I got to do a song with a cat from Bulgaria, and I just performed in Sofia, and I'm doing this Balkan tour, and Skopje was huge. Bigul Empire got a lot of love from me. And all these cool things are fucking happening. I'm sitting here with you. I'm not from here, bro. You know what I'm saying? So it is a blessing to be booked out here. You know, my team at Alternativa Records, they put out the feelers, and like people in niche were like, yeah, we'll book him. Yeah, you know, it's a blessing. But in order to do that, it took so much hard work. Mm-hmm. And I've been working hard year after year after year, this project, that project. And I'm not rich, you know what I'm saying? So what's next? After this tour, I'm going to go home. And I'm going to watch Netflix. And I'm going to fucking chill for a few months for the first time in 5-6 years.
And drink rakia.
Cool. And not think about music. I hope. Because I say that often. And then something happens where there's just like, oh, wait a minute. No, can't miss this opportunity.
Yeah.
So I hope I get time to just be a regular person and you know, go to work, get my check, chill for a minute, and live life. Because if I don't live life and live a regular everyday man's life, I have nothing to write about. Mm-hmm.